Hey everyone, Chris Kroll here, managing editor of Solar Builder with another episode of Solar Distancing. Today I again welcome back Jeff McAndrew, Director of Sales for Clean Energy Solutions at Generac. Hey Jeff.
Hey Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well. Ready to kind of dive in a little bit more detail on something we maybe discussed in one of our previous chats. Just the idea of round trip efficiency. So, what's coming in from the solar panel, it's going in, being converted. You have your storage system there and kind of the end output of the energy that you're generating through that whole process. There's a lot of ins and outs. So I guess I was looking for you to just explore a little bit more kind of what that whole round trip efficiency equation is.
Yeah, so to look at a true round trip efficiency, we should start with what's being produced on the roof as DC solar power, what is inverted, and then what goes into and comes out of the battery. So there's, we lose efficiency, even in DC to DC conversions, we lose a little bit of efficiency, and all solar power starts as DC, right? We lose more efficiency, like 2.5 to 5%, when you invert DC to AC or vice versa. And as we mentioned last week, all batteries charge inherently from DC solar power, right? So when we think about round trip efficiency, AC coupled batteries will show round trip efficiency of AC to AC. So, Sony, for example, might show 86% round trip efficiency, or Panasonic, or Tesla shows 90% or 89% round trip efficiency. That is from AC to AC. It doesn't take into account any of the DC solar, right? Because those batteries are connected on the main service panel. So round trip efficiency, I would describe it as solar power into and out of a battery and then through the inverter to the house. Whatever you end up with at the house should be your round trip efficiency, okay? Mm-hmm. So in the case of our solution, you're at, as we mentioned last week, we're at 99% on the roof through the substring optimizers. We're at 98% into the battery, charge the battery, 98% out of the battery. And then we're at 97.5, 98% through the inverter. So you've got a DC-DC conversion on the roof, very efficient. And then DC-DC conversions into and out of the battery, also very efficient. And then a DC to AC inversion through the inverter, okay? What you end up with is 99% times 96.5% into and out of the battery, and then 97.5 to 98% through the inverter. So your round trip efficiency, what you started with is DC solar power into and out of the battery and through the inverter. You end up with what we would say is like 92 to 93% round trip efficiency. And if you were to compare that to an AC coupled system, let's say Tesla's 90% round trip efficiency, and you pair that with an N-phase microinverter that's 97.5% efficiency, right? You would take the N-phase micros 97.5% times 90%, you end up with what, 80, 87, 88% efficiency. So sure. The round trip efficiency, you've got to take in the PV as well as the battery inversions.
Yeah. So I guess just kind of bottom line, anything you're doing from the DC side is going to be with the right inverter, just inherently more efficient through that entire cycle, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the fewer times that you can invert DC to AC and vice versa, the more efficient you're going to be.
And I was just wondering, is there breaking down the percentages is like really interesting. Do you have a different way to maybe even phrase that for like customers who are trying to understand the ROI of what those percentage differences might be?
Yeah, that's a great question. The best way that I'd recommend looking at this is like, okay, if you have a 10 kilowatt hour battery with an AC coupled system, you could lose 2 kilowatt hours in trying to charge and discharge that battery, but with a DC coupled battery, you'd likely lose less than 1 kilowatt hour. So basically, by having a more efficient system, you're going to waste less of the investment on the roof just from conversion losses. Does that make sense?
It definitely does. Cool. So that was basically what I wanted to dive into today, just explore the, on the spec sheet, what you're looking at and what that means. So thanks for taking the time again to walk us through that.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Happy to be here.
Yep. And everyone else out there, until next time, stay safe, stay away, but go solar.